Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm going to talk about mindfulness today as well, and some of my content is going to overlap with what Shaylin said and discussed. But like Shaylin, I'd like to start off with a simple breathing exercise. So if everyone could close their eyes for a second and take 4 deep, slow breaths. Try to have some good posture here. Sit up straight. Inhale with a slight smile, and exhale any anxious thoughts or feelings that may be present. Do it at your own pace. Breathing is the easiest way to cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness, simply put, is the recognition of the present moment, the embracement of your immediate being. The origins of mindful thinking trace back to the Eastern philosophies of Buddhism nearly 1,500 years ago, and quite possibly much further than that in indigenous cultures in the beginning of time. The Buddhists believe that through meditation, through practice of slow and mindful breathing, one can gain clarity and control of their thoughts and feelings. Practicing mindfulness helps alleviate our cluttered brains, enabling us to look at situations in a more open and attentive view, withholding myopic perceptions and thoughts about different ideas and interactions. The Buddha once suggested that the best way to obtain clarity of thought, peace, happiness, and wisdom was to practice mindfulness. U.S. companies collectively spend more than $300 million annually on stress-related costs, according to the American Institute of Stress. That number is astounding and is only rising in today's hectic work environments. In contemporary society, stress and mindlessness run rampant from Wall Street to the drugs we buy at Walgreens. One stress professional articulates the effects as such, and I quote, "Poor worker performance, increased absenteeism, decreased commitment to work, and increased staff turnover are just some of the concrete manifestations of the effect of stress at the workplace. These manifestations subtract from the company's ability to be competitive." End quote. I am confident that the implementation of the Buddhist teachings of mindfulness can help purge stress out of the work environment, rectify America's economy, reface the global image of the United States, and bring happiness into people's lives from around the world. Corporations like Google, Apple, Patagonia, and Bluebird are already beginning to break into this mindless paradigm. With such action, they've seen tremendous success. By incorporating mindfulness into their business environment and the managerial role, the latter companies are producing some of the happiest and most effective and efficient employees in the world. The effects of mindful business practices are not only evident in employee testimonials and studies, but are also quantifiable. A Goldman Sachs study that was done recently, which Shaylin talked about as well, showed that companies that implemented environmental and social practices outperformed the stock market collectively by over 25%. This is a great and inspiring statistic and only helps advertise and perpetuate this mindfulness movement. Google has meditation rooms at its headquarters and encourage its employees when they feel stressed out or they might have some brain farts to go into these meditation rooms and find peace of mind. Even if your company doesn't have the luxury of having meditation rooms, you can still find peace and awareness at your desk. And Shaylin was also discussing some of these things through the breath, through getting in touch with your subconscious. This recent interest in business transparency is now manifesting physically into the offices around the world. Executives and VPs sit side by side, mid-level and lower-level employees. The old cloth cubicle structure is now glass and transparent. This allows for more interaction and helps alleviate the inferiority complex felt by many of the lower-level employees. Business mindfulness, mindful business practices, corporate consciousness, corporate or capitalistic, what is it? Conscious capitalism are buzzwords that are beginning to circulate in our society. They are callings. They are callings to a mindfulness revolution, a change in thought, action, and being that has the ability to positively alter the often congested and incoherent paradigm we live and dwell in. We are already beginning to see slight changes in American business with this recent consumer interest in business transparency and sustainability. This new attention to sustainable and conscientious practices is forcing businesses, governments, and NGOs alike to change the way in which they operate. This is a desirable thing to cultivate within the workforce, both internally and externally. On the individual level, we see the practicing of mindfulness help individuals break through the stressful workday and cope with many of the nettlesome circumstances that arise each day in our lives. The phone ringing incessantly, the random pop-in of the box, the text from the significant other. All of these distractions deter us from being fully involved on what we are doing, on being present, on being embraced, and embracing ourselves in our work, in our life. Mindfulness assists us in responding and reacting to these distractions in a way that is stress-free. Panic and stress can lead to poor performance. In a world like this, stress is inevitable and incessant. Deadlines and due dates and quotas and shareholder expectations are never in the rearview mirror, and always on the mental sticky note next to lunchtime, anxiously waiting for our attention. Mindless thinking often runs unchecked in businesses around the world. People often assume that situations are win-lose when they could be win-win. Implementing mindfulness into the workforce allows individuals and constituents of the company to surface and circulate these win-win remedies. All of this is facilitated by proper leadership and inspiration, and is most effective when it begins from the top. CEOs and individuals in the managerial and leadership roles have tremendous influence and should take advantage of it. It starts with the mission and philosophy of the company sparked by the entrepreneur and circulates throughout the entire workforce, perpetuating a positive and heedful environment. There are copious amounts of ways to implement mindfulness into the workload, and people are becoming clever and more creative every single day in finding out new ways to implement mindfulness, mindful business practices. Mindfulness has the ability to better the many facets of our society, both on a business, social, and individual level. Business mindfulness, I dream, will truly help America reface its global image and become an economic powerhouse once more. This time keeping morals, mindfulness, local and global responsibility at its forefront. Rather than dwelling on past happenings or becoming antsy about future endeavors, lay your mind to rest. You'll be surprised on what it can produce. I encourage you each day, each week, each month, each year, to take a step back from your busy day, from everything that's going on, from everything that's congested in your mind, from all the distractions, from all the drama, and just take a breath. You'll be surprised on what it can do. I would like to end with a short poem that I wrote on the plane ride back from the jungles of northern Laos. And I really think it helps describe what it means to be mindful, what it means to be in this present moment. And I'm going to recite it now. Stop. Breathe. Look around. This moment is special, like a soundless sight from a radiant restaurant, untouchable, yet holding out its hand. Give yourself and soul, receive sanity, relieve relentlessness, rejoice, refigure your posture, breathe boundlessly. Thank you very much for your time and attention.